I felt much of the film felt like Empire Strikes Back in a good way, in terms of darker tone and father-son relationship, and new color palette, and how the movie ends. So, what is your ambition in this middle part of the, let's say, trilogy?
You just nailed it.
I think you just nailed it.
You nailed it.
It's the second act. It is. You have that leeway to go a little darker because it is the second act, and you have a place to go to.
Yeah, you don't have to wrap up the story with a bow.
Right.
It's really the stakes in this film are not just like the typical superhero stakes. They're emotional stakes.
Mm-hmm.
The characters have evolved. It's coming of age for Miles and his parents, coming of age for Gwen and her dad. And the wonderful thing about knowing that there is going to be a third film is that you have the freedom to, while you have a complete story, to not have to wrap everything up. And I think that contributes a lot to the darker tone.
This sequel was initially a single movie, but then it spread into two movies. So how did that affect your storytelling?
We knew we were going to split the movie early on. We wanted to tell such a big story, and we knew that it was the themes and the journey, the growth and the change that Miles would go through was so epic and so monumental that it really was too much for just one film, and we wanted to be able to tell it all. So we did actually figure out the entire story, and then I think the challenge was then figuring out how we tell a complete story. Now that each movie still needed to feel like a complete movie, right, and not just be a cliffhanger that ends, and actually feel satisfying and makes you anticipate and feel excited to see the next part.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, when it became challenging, but hopefully we succeeded.
Yeah.
I really like the concept that Miles trying to break all Spider-Man's fate, that you can't save everyone. So what can we expect to see in this unique story?
I think the idea is that, Miles, not only, as it pertains to his family, him sort of figuring out how he's going to navigate the world on his own, Miles is also realizing that he's going to have to be his own type of hero. He's not going to have to follow the mold that was sort of presented for him, the template that was presented for him ahead of time. He's going to figure out how to do it on his own. So seeing that play out is what's really, really intriguing about his story moving forward.
And, superheroes by nature are supposed to be rule breakers, but as superhero comic culture became dominant culture, I think people kind of got too adhered to the rules of being a superhero. So the idea of putting so many rules on these rule breakers kind of gets stale. So we wanted to kind of bring a little bit more of the idea of breaking rules back to the genre.
And that inspired even how the movie looks.
Yeah.
We have hundreds of Spider-Man in this movie, and these images are so detailed. So would you tell me some Easter eggs that people might miss?
I mean, my favorite Easter egg that I'm sure everyone is going to miss is Miles's jersey. When Gwen comes to his room, he's wearing a Brooklyn jersey. Instead of the New York Knicks, it's the Brooklyn Knicks. And for a split second, you see the back of the jersey, and the player's name on it is Shamgod, and that's actually a tribute to God Shamgod, who was like one of the biggest street ball players of all time. And the idea was that in Miles's universe, he actually became a member of the Knicks and became like a Hall of Fame player. So he's wearing a Shamgod jersey.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot of stuff like that like you'd have to freeze the frame to catch it.
Yeah, there's a Miguel O'Hara themed burger in the cafeteria. I thought that was really funny.
To me, like, that actually are part of why the movie feels so epic and so big, is we put a lot of effort into making each world feel really really believable. And one of those things is, like, in Brooklyn, only for people who are from Brooklyn would know this, and now you will, is like there's this guy, he has this oyster stand.
Real Mother Shuckers.
Mother Shuckers, and he has this oyster stand, and we asked him permission, and it's just a cool thing that's like really native to Brooklyn, and it's really small, it's really local, and it's only for people from Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's an oyster cart.
It sells oysters, and so we asked him for permission to use his likeness and put his oyster cart there, just for the purpose of, like, making it feel like a believable real world. And I think things like that, there is a lot of things like that that I think are actually some of my favorite things, just because people want to be a part of it so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way you combine all these different types of art was like magical, and it looks very unique and have a different tone, different feeling, but it was not messy at all. It was amazing. So how did you do that?
Look, I think that's the strength of story. So if you can get so invested in the journey of the characters, how it's delivered to you, obviously it's very important and very unique to this film, but you know, ideally you're so along for the journey. You could be presented with anything, and you're so invested in what's happening. The wonderful part is that, you know, if you were to go back and watch this film again and again, there's going to be something unique for you to see on screen and find out and discover every time you look at the film. I can't tell.
Thank you very much. That's my love.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. So
much.
nice to meet you.